Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Bill the Universe, and I'm gonna do the chart of Marilyn Monroe. It's kind of crazy that I'm just now doing Marilyn Monroe's chart because she's kind of the most famous person in the world. I feel like every astrologer has done her chart. Every astrologer who puts up charts of celebrities has done Marilyn Monroe. This is like literally my 90th chart. Literally, it's like my 90th chart. Okay, realistically, it's like my 70th chart, but still, I mean, not that I don't like her or anything. I love her. I don't know. I don't like to follow cliches. I like to kind of stick to the beat of my own drum. But in the last few months, I have been very, very energetically drawn to Marilyn Monroe for some reason, and I'm not really I'm mad about it. I'm not upset about it. I'm not asking why. Like, why? No, I don't care. I'm being drawn to her energy, and I love it. I'm here for it. So I've always liked her work. I've never not liked her. I've just never been obsessed with her the way other people have. People are obsessed with Marilyn Monroe. So anyway, let's go on. So here's a couple of interesting things. This is Vedic astrology. So this is unlike any other chart reading you're ever going to hear, because most of everyone else is tropical astrology. This is Vedic, ancient Indian astrology. Okay, so we're going to go over the stars, not just the signs. So anyway, she's an Aslesha ascendant. Aslesha is a star in Cancer. So Aslesha is interesting because when women have this star, they will be a seductress. They will be very powerful. They will kind of dominate men. I remember hearing this one guy talk about Madonna, and he was saying how she used to chew men up and spit them out. And Madonna is an Aslesha sun. And Marilyn Monroe is an Aslesha ascendant. So again, Aslesha is a star within Cancer. So Marilyn is a Cancer ascendant. And Madonna, that means that Madonna is a Cancer sun. So I think that's very interesting. The other thing that I found pretty interesting is that if you're old like me, you remember the Material Girl video that Madonna did, because we are living in a material world and I am a material girl. And in that video, she portrayed Marilyn Monroe. So I think that it's interesting how energetically they actually both have very, very come from kind of the same place, which is a vixen that is very powerful, very seductive eyes. What else was I going to say about Aslesha? Oh, what's interesting is that it's still, even though it's like super beautiful because it's Cancer, it's still like very, 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 very powerful. So when men have this placement of Aslesha, it's interesting because they will be really, really big and beautiful, because Cancer is a very beautiful sign. It's actually the most beautiful sign. But they're still like very fierce. So for example, the guy Chris Hemsworth, he plays Thor. He is an Aslesha sun. So, again, it's Cancer, so the beauty is definitely there. He's a very beautiful man. But being Aslesha, which is a very, very fierce star, mythologically, this star has ties to the guardian of the doorway to Hades, the underworld. So I always call Aslesha the cosmic bouncer. You know how the club bouncers, they're all big, these big, huge dudes, and they're supposed to be like physically the most fierce, And that's exactly what Thor was. And another good example of a man who is Aslesha is what's that football player? Tom Brady. He's like the best. No one's better than him. He's the best right now. And he is an Aslasia's son as well. So again, he kicks ass on the field, even though he's also very beautiful. So Aslasia being in Cancer, but the singular star of Aslasia being very, very fierce, you get a mix of both. You get beauty and incredible fierceness. And actually, the astrologer Claire Nocte, she did a study on the world's most beautiful people, men and women, and Cancer ascendant has been found to be the most beautiful placement for a woman, and this is exactly what Marilyn Monroe is. She's a Cancer ascendant. Another Cancer ascendant is Angelina Jolie. Another Cancer ascendant is what's her name? Halle Berry. Another Cancer ascendant is Rita Ora. Another Cancer ascendant is Keke Palmer. Another Cancer ascendant is Marilyn Monroe. So, Cancer ascendant women have got it going on for sure, whether it's Aslasia or Pushya. That's another star in Cancer. It's actually really Pushya ascendant, but Aslasia is right there along with it. So the other thing, another Cancer ascendant is Josephine Baker. Do you remember the Black American French dancer from like literally 100 years ago, maybe even longer? And she had that banana skirt. She is also a Cancer ascendant, Aslasia specifically. So, and again, Aslasia has a lot to do with, especially with a woman, Aslasia has a lot to do with being a seductress, and that's exactly what Josephine Baker was. That was her kind of spiel when she would do shows and stuff like that. She was known for just really being that snake, that's part of the snake charmer trope, and just really hypnotizing men. So I think that's I think a lot of women have that in common. The other thing that's interesting is you see this mostly with men. Okay, so here's the thing. Aslasia does have a part. There is a theme with Aslasia that surrounds being still. What's it called? Paralyzation. And this is actually mostly with men. So, for example, what's his name? The man who played Superman, the original one, Christopher Reeve. He also is an Aslasia ascendant. So again, it's a mixture of great beauty, but also a mixture of great fierceness, a big body, right? Just like Chris Hemsworth, just like Tom Brady. These men who are Aslasia natives, they are beautiful, but they're also big bodies, big, huge, strong, fierce bodies. And these men will tend to go through a type of paralysis. Sorry, I don't know why I'm fumbling this word. Paralysis. So, as you know, Christopher Reeve had a major accident and then left him paralyzed. What's his name? Chris Hemsworth, he has actually been open about his susceptibility to Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and dementia, which is, if you know, that's a very paralyzing, those are very paralyzing debilitations, diseases of the brain. And I saw like only one movie about Marilyn Monroe, and apparently she would get into these episodes of just being completely still and just not moving and just being frozen, really, just being frozen. Literally, she would be on set and they would yell, action. And I mean, they would do everything for her. They would put the lines, they would tape it to the bottom of the dresser so that she can read it while she's doing a scene, and nothing worked. They were like, what the fuck's wrong with her? She would get into these episodes, which is literally these paralytic episodes. So this is actually the first woman with an Aslasia placement that I see having this paralytic episode. But it does happen for some reason. I couldn't tell you why, but it does happen. So moving on, her sun is in Rohini. It's a star in Taurus. Rohini is actually quite fascinating. Rohini is also, again, these are very, very, now that I'm looking at it, these are really, 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 really tough placements. These are really fierce placements. These are very I don't even know what the word is. Like the feeling you get when a big monster smashes through the wall. That feeling, that's the feeling I get from this chart. It's Rohini is a star in Taurus, like I said. So she's a Taurus sun. I know people think she's a Gemini sun, but this is Vedic astrology. She was born what, June 1st? Yeah, that's Rohini. So again, Rohini, Taurus being ruled by Venus, again, that adds to the beauty, right? Taurus is the most sensual sign of all the signs, right? It's not the most beautiful, but it is the most sensual, and it's the most proud of their sensuality and their imperfections. And Taurus is thick, you know. Taurus is a thick girl, so they're not afraid to, walk around naked with their thick booty out and their thick thighs. And, that was very much Marilyn. Marilyn was curvy. Marilyn was not no stick figure. She was curvy. She had hips. She had a butt. She had weight. She had a waist. She had boobies, so... and also, Rohini itself is ruled by the moon, and you can, and so when a woman is ruled by the moon, it makes her shorter, which doesn't apply to Marilyn, because Marilyn was apparently 5'6", I think that's kind of tall for a woman, but it will give them a lot of moon features, so like round eyes, really round apples on her cheeks, very curvy, like I said. So, she's definitely got that going on. It was pointed out to me, I didn't realize this myself, but it was pointed out to me that Rohini people and Rohini women and Aslesha women will actually tend to have like a really baby voice, like just like a baby voice, and just like real whispery and real wispy, and just just kind of that way. And it's interesting because I used to kind of tease Nicole Kidman for talking that way, because if you watch Nicole Kidman movies, she also is like, she's very much like that. If you close your eyes and I do that again, you can totally see it. Like, watch, close your eyes. Can you not see Nicole Kidman? Anyway, I used to kind of tease her for that, even though she's my favorite actress. But then I realized, I was like, oh yeah, she's a fucking Rohini. She's a Rohini sun. She was born like the first 10 days of June, something like that. So she does have that. The only thing though is, these people deal with a lot of evil things, or they might be kind of evil themselves. Not because of them, but it's because of this star Rohini. So every time, dude, every motherfucking time the moon is in Rohini, I always have a scary, really, really scary evil dream. Or like the other day. The other day was Rohini moon. I didn't know this. I didn't know, but and then I came across this video on YouTube about this man who died, and he said he went to hell and he came back to life, and it was really fucking scary and disturbing hearing all his testimony. And again, we're dealing with evil here. The day my house burned down, I had a dream that this evil entity was trying to kill me. And then when I woke up, I went for a walk, and then I came around the block, and my house was on fire. That movie Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Gene Wilder is a Rohini. I don't know what he is, but he's a Rohini native as well. In the end of that movie, he's in the elevator and he's saying a real demented type of poem, and he starts getting more and more manic and scream, and starts more. He gets really intense. If you've seen the original movie, you know what I'm talking about. And it's at the end, and even the walls start to get red, and just the whole environment starts to look very hellish. And it is interesting because Rohini itself, Aldebaran, that's the name of the star that we call it nowadays. It's a huge fucking star. It's like 50 times the sun, the size of the sun. And anyway, it's literally a huge, gigantic red star. And I know so many Rohini natives. I know a Rohini native who is into black magic. You know, he's into witchcraft. He's into, you know, stuff like that. So I'm not saying that Marilyn was into that at all, but I can't. I have to say that this is a part of Rohini. They're very beautiful. They're very rich. They're very sensual. They have they're very bountiful. They're very abundant people. But then for some fucking reason, there's like an evil streak there. I don't know. I can't understand why. I'm not saying she's evil. I'm just saying like she gets mixed up in evil things. You know, Rohini gets mixed up in evil things. I know a Rohini native who used to work on Wall Street, which, by the way, I think that's the most evil place on earth. That's just my personal opinion. I think Wall Street's the most evil place on earth. That's my personal opinion. And he's a Rohini native, and he was like caught embezzling. He embezzled like $20 million. And he's actually a close friend of mine. He's a personal friend of mine from when I lived in New York, and I met him, and again, he was very handsome. You know, he was very rich. He had a lot of money. He was very abundant, you know. But there was that side to him, you know. So Rohini is very intense. The other thing is she's a Dhanishta. Let's move on. The other thing is she's a Dhanishta moon. Dhanishta is a star that's kind of half in Capricorn, half in Aquarius. So, oh, no, but I know her birth time. Okay. So she's a Capricorn moon. Okay, so she's a Dhanishta moon, which is a star in Capricorn. Okay, cool. So Dhanishta, the Hindi Shakti for Dhanishta is granting wealth and fame. And so I think that's really interesting how she was wealthy and famous, you know. And again, that same astrologer, Claire Nocti, pointed out to us that Dhanishta, a lot of Dhanishta people become famous just kind of simply through their looks. They're just so beautiful to look at. So Marilyn Monroe is a Dhanishta moon. She also pointed out that a lot of models are Dhanishta moon. So like Gia Garangi was a Dhanishta native. Cindy Crawford is a Dhanishta native. And these are all Mars women. So Mars women are very sexy in general. It doesn't have to be just Dhanishta. Anyone who has Mars, whether it's Dhanishta or Chitra or Mrigashira, those three stars are ruled by Mars. And when you have that star, you're most likely going to be a very beautiful woman. So like Kim Kardashian and Amber Rose, they are Chitra natives. So that's not Dhanishta, the same as Marilyn's star, but they are Mars ruled stars. And Josephine Baker was Chitra moon, I think. So again, that's Mars ruling over the moon of these women. So, you know, and Mars is very sexy. Mars is very sexual. Mars doesn't mind being looked at. Mars likes to be looked at, you know. Yeah, they're just, and even the men. The only man I can think of right now is Shawn Mendes. Shawn Mendes is a Dhanishta moon, I'm pretty sure. And he is literally, I mean, he was famous because he put videos out on YouTube. And even though he was like 15, 14 years old, and, you know, all these pedophiles were just like, oh my God, look at that candy. And they gave him a record deal, you know. And I mean, he is a beautiful man. I mean, he's gorgeous. I love Shawn Mendes. I don't love his music, but I could literally look at Shawn Mendes all day. I mean, that's the beauty that Dhanishta blesses you with, you know. And then her Ketu is in Purvashada, which is a star in Sagittarius. Purvashada is a star ruled by Venus. So, you know, Ketu is kind of like your past lives, and it's it's also kind of like the energy that your family is, that you came from. You know, this is like your bloodline is your Ketu, and hers is in Purvashada, which is very, very, very beautiful. It's Venus ruled star. So, and again, Purvashada is a star in Sagittarius, so Sagittarius emphasizes the butt and the hips, right? So again, I mean, it's, there's a lot of, man, this is curves on curves. Every single one of these placements is a beautiful placement. It has the ability to bless these women with extreme beauty. She's an Aslesha ascendant. She's a Rohini sun. She's Dhanishta moon. She's Purva Bhadrapada Mars, which is Aquarius. These women, yes, they can be very beautiful. Can give them really hot bodies, but also it makes them just very what's it called? Manipulative in a good way, but also in a bad way. Honestly, I'm not even gonna lie. It can be a lot of Purva Bhadrapada women. They will make men do things for them. They will seduce men into doing things for them. She's a Rohini Mercury. She's again Dhanishta Jupiter. This means that she has Jupiter conjunct her moon. I'm gonna get to that in a minute. She's an Ashvini Venus. She's Vishaka. I mean, all these placements are beautiful placements. So let me get into this house placement real quick. So she has Saturn in the 4th house. That makes total fucking sense because Saturn is the planet of delay, or it'll just straight up take it away or deny. And Saturn here is placed in her 4th house of the mother. The 4th house, again, is always the mother. When you see someone with Saturn in the 4th house, they usually will have a very distant relationship with their mother, or very complicated relationship with their mother, or just not a relationship at all with their mother. So we know that she did have a very complicated relationship with her mom. And it shows here in her chart, in her Vedic Indian chart, that her Saturn, the planet of delay or distance or denial, is sitting in her 4th house of the mother. Okay, so then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Her moon's in the 7th house. That's interesting too, because 7th house is all about relationships, and she was in several marriages. She was married to very successful men, very prominent men. But then the other thing is, 7th house isn't just romantic relationships. It's also your business relationships. It's relationships in general. So, for your moon to be in 7th house, this means that there's a lot of that it means that harmony in your relationships are very important to you, But then again, because it's in Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, the planet of delay, of distance, of denial even. So it's like that moon in 7th will cause a great, wonderful, harmonious relationship. But then later Saturn is kicking in because Saturn is ruling that 7th house in her chart. So then it's like taking away again, She's got Mars in the 8th house. Yeah, Mars in the 8th house is no bueno. Sorry, guys. Mars in the 8th house. 8th house and 12th house for a woman. This attracts men who beat them up. What's her name? Rihanna has her Mars in the 8th house, and she got into that fight with that one singer. Selena Quintanilla, the Mexican singer, who died in the 90s, her Mars was in her 12th house. And she was killed, So Mars in the 8th house or the 12th house for a woman, a lot of times is no bueno. And there are, to this day, 60 years later, she died in the 60s? So 50 years later, 60 years later? 60 years later. People are still speculating on whether her death was really an accident or a suicide or something like that. People still speculate, whether she was actually murdered. And this chart says that, not that she was murdered, but this chart does say that it attracts violent men. What can I say? The weird thing is that this chart is actually very spiritual. This chart has a lot to do with, I know it's weird to say. I know that's weird to say. Where she could have been really, really good at is the hospital, working as a nurse or working in a hospital, working, I just see it, She's got her Rahu in the 12th. Oh, Rahu in the 12th house? That's cool. Okay, so she's got her Rahu in the 12th house and her Ketu in the 6th house. That's very interesting too, because Rahu in the 12th will make you very fucking sexual. First of all, it'll make you super sexual. Like even when like when men have Rahu in the 12th house, so many of them cannot stay faithful because they're just so sexual. Um, and the fact that it's in Gemini, Gemini is very, very sexual. Gemini is a lot of excess energy, so a lot of people will have anxiety, and then they'll kind of want to burn off that extra energy through sex. So there's that, the fact that her Rahu's in Gemini in the 12th house. But then just Rahu in the 12th house in general. I mean, Rahu is already obsessive. Rahu is already materialistic. Rahu is already a planet of wealth, and it's a planet of sex. It's very sexual, it's very wealthy. So in 12th house is already the house of sex. So this would mean that it's a super, super sexual chart. If I'm being honest, it also gives me the impression that she had a lot of man, I know that's weird to say, but I get a feeling of like cult sex. Cult, the fact that it's Rohini, and she's Rohini sun and Dhanishta moon and Rahu in the 12th house, that gives me an impression of like being in a satanic cult, or being in some type of cult and then having sex. That dude, that's just the impression I get. I'm sorry. And the fact that she got Mars in the 8th house, 8th house is cutting, 8th house is penetration, 8th house is blood and dying and violence. And she's got Mars there. So it's like having sex in a cult and then like getting sliced or something like that, But yeah, I mean, her Rahu's in the 12th house. That also is a huge house for fame. So a lot of people who are famous, are like really big stars, will have their moon in the 12th house. But she has her Mars, and I mean, she has her Rahu in the 12th house. And that, again, I mean, it can straight up make you just a perverted. What's his name? I dated a guy who had his Rahu in the 12th house, and he could not keep it in his pants, and he tried everything. And then who else? What's that guy? Jeffrey Dahmer. He has his Rahu in the 12th house, but his Rahu was in Leo, which is even more sexual, even more like that's the worst, But her Rahu was in the 12th house, which is again really, really going after your pleasures and your dreams. And the thing about it is that 12th house can make your dreams come true. So when you have planets in your 12th house, this can make your fantasies come true. This can make your desires come true. But her Ketu is in the 6th house. The 6th house is the school. 6th house is the hospital. That's what I'm saying. Like, I really get a feeling she could have been really good in a school or a hospital. She could have been a nurse, or she could have been a teacher. Like something along those lines. I'm telling you. And it's crazy because literally this morning, I had a dream of Marilyn Monroe, which is why I'm doing her chart now, because I woke up with her in my mind. But listen to this. I just wrote it. I write down my dreams all the time. So this is what I wrote for today, February 8th. Marilyn Monroe was working as a gardener for school, I think. She was spraying this liquid on the ground that instantly turned into fake flowers. She was so cute in her garden suit and cat-eye glasses with a big smile. I mean, again, in the school, and again, 6th house is not just, it's not just work, but it's hard, it's labor. It's the dirty work, and so in my dream, Marilyn wasn't just a teacher or a principal. She was actually the gardener, which is, now in America, we associate that with like Mexicans and the immigrants and the poverty, the poor class, the working class doing that. And this chart actually says that, she actually it would have been more spiritually beneficial had she had a much more humble life. And this would have given her a lot more happiness. Because we all know Marilyn had a lot of depression. She had a very hard life. And the last thing I want to talk about is that she had Venus in the 10th house. And that's, again, 10th house is the house of public display, Whatever, when people look at you, they're looking at your 10th house. People think that you're looking at your sun or your moon or your rising or whatever, and yeah, they can see that, of course. But 10th house is public display. First house is more the body, describes your body. But 10th house is what everyone's looking at, and especially when you're a performer, when you're an actor, when you're a dancer, when you're an artist, and she has Venus in the 10th house. So people see a lot of beauty. People also see a winner because her Venus is in Aries, in Ashvini. So, Aries is first. Aries is a pioneer. I can hear my cat. Aries is first. Aries is a pioneer. Aries is a winner. Aries is the top, so, and Aries is very successful, so when people see her, they're looking at her Aries Venus, which is Venus. So it's very beautiful. They're looking at a lot of beauty, but then they're looking at Aries. So they're looking at a winner. They're looking at someone who's the top, someone who's the best, that's 30 minutes. Damn, girl. Okay. I didn't think it was going to be that long at all. But she does have a good work ethic, though. See, that's weird because her Saturn in her 4th house means it was a complicated relationship with the mom. But at the same time, Saturn is really good in Libra. Saturn is exalted in Libra, and she has an exalted Saturn. It's in Libra. It's in Vishaka, which makes her a really good worker. It makes her really good at focusing on a task and achieving it. You know who else is a Mars native that really identifies with Marilyn Monroe is Anna Nicole Smith. Anna Nicole Smith was a Chitra moon, right? Yes, she was a Chitra moon. Again, that's a Mars moon. Anna Nicole Smith is a Chitra moon. Josephine Baker is a Chitra moon. What's her name? Kim Kardashian is a Chitra sun. Amber Rose is a Chitra moon or sun. And so all these Mars women are very, very sexy, right? They're very sexual. They don't mind getting naked. They don't mind being looked at naked. They're very proud of their bodies, So I find that all these Mars people, all these Mars women really, really look up to Marilyn Monroe. And I think it's because they have that Mars, Anyway, it's 32 minutes. I think that's good. Bye.